The question is why? Why would somebody listen to me? And you have to get good at answering that because you're going to get it as well. It happened to me just recently. I had a gentleman in my class and he sat on this side and he was a friend of mine and we know each other outside of class and we've done a lot of things together. We've known each other for a long time. But all of a sudden I could see in his face that he asked the question why. The question is, why would I listen to you? What is it that gives Daniel the right to be teaching me how to do something? It's a good question. After all, I don't have a lot of credentials after my name. There aren't additional letters, Daniel Pennington, PhD or whatever. You've probably never seen me speak before, and it doesn't seem like maybe at the beginning that I have the legitimacy and the credentials to do this. Now I think it's a generation thing to an extent, because my daughter and her friends are much more willing to accept information that comes from wherever that comes from. And if it's good information, they don't seem to care. Because after all, if you have a PhD or 2 PhDs, or if you've been doing this for 160 years, it really doesn't seem to matter as much to them. And I think in part because they're doing so much on the internet, they're doing so much on the computer. And if you ever go on the computer, one of the easiest ways for you to learn a new program is to go on YouTube, type in that program, and do a tutorial. And there's so many great tutorials on the web that will teach you how to do anything. But you know, a lot of times those teachers doing those tutorials are 10, 12, 14-year-old kids. And when I first did that, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have little Joey taking time off from homeroom to teach me how to do a program. But you know what? They're often really, really good. So I think it's a generational thing. I think in our generation and people older than us, we wanted to be taught by somebody who had a PhD. We wanted to be taught by somebody who had a lot of credentials. And it's not so much our generation. But still, you're going to get the question, and so you have to be good at answering it. And this is my attempt to answer it. Let me show you this first. See that? That is me when I was in high school. Now, everybody else was voted best looking, most studious, most athletic, most likely to succeed. They voted me and Karen quietest. Of all things, I've never even heard of that before or since, but we were selected as the quietest people in our class. And that's kind of cool because we really didn't say anything. I mean, I didn't used to be shy, but I became shy. And sitting in that room, you can just tell, you can see by looking at that photo how uncomfortable I was with everything. And because I was shy, all of the good things in life were passing me by. I didn't get the girlfriends, I didn't get the jobs, I didn't get the grades, because to get a grade you have to raise your hand. I know the answer. And I wouldn't do that because it terrified me to have people call on me. And so I decided that I needed to get out of being shy and to become more gregarious. And I did that. And certainly now I'm doing this. And I speak, and I don't mind speaking in front of a group of 300 or 400 people. So to an extent, my why is how far you've come, right? How far did you come from where you were to where you are now? And so if I went from being extraordinarily shy to such a degree that I got an award for it, how many of you have ever gotten an award for being shy? And then I've gotten to the point where I can stand here and comfortably deliver lines with you. So in the interim, how did I do that? I think that's, if I can do that much, surely I can help you with whatever nervousness you have when you stand up on stage. So that's one part of the why. The second part of the why for me is that I spent 28 years in television. And what I did there was mainly I shot commercials and television shows, and we would take people who are never on TV and help them stand up, deliver their lines, would compose the message for them, deliver their lines, look great doing it, and influence people to come to their store or to their place of business and buy things. And that's very, very difficult to do because these small business owners, oftentimes small business owners, it's important that their commercial or their message really works because they can go broke if what I did didn't work. So that was very, very important. And we would just do the math here with me for a minute, we would do 60 commercials a month, 720 a year. I did television for 28 years. So probably More than 10,000 people have done this, where they trusted me to help them stand up, deliver a great message, look good doing it, and create a call to action that would actually increase their business. So I've done that for a long time. Now, for the past 5 years, my third part of my why is I've been working with a company that has some of the best speakers in the world. And I spend about half my time working with the very best speakers that you've ever seen, that I've ever seen. They are world-class speakers. And the other half of my time, I spend with people who have never been on TV before, who've never done this before, who've never been on stage before. And they're really smart and they've got a lot going on, but they're just not comfortable with this process. And what I do is I spend that time working with them to get them comfortable, deliver that great message, and to look good doing it. But it's important that also I start to see the contrast between the great speaker and the beginning speaker. And after a while, it becomes very clear what the great speaker is doing and the beginning speaker could stand to learn from. And a lot of this within this program is based on that. What does a great speaker know that the rest of us should know? And how can you contrast and compare those two so you can learn as much as you can from the great speakers? And I have to tell you, one of my favorite speakers ever in the world was a small town church preacher, pastor, Jim Hale. And in the end, I liked Jim Hale not because he was a dynamic speaker, he certainly is. Not because he's a good guy, and he certainly is that as well. But what Jim Hale had that so many people miss is relevant content that you can take back and use in your life. And so often we would sit in church and he would be talking about something, and then later in my work week I would say, this is what Jim Hale was talking about. And so that's the other part of this program. I don't want to talk in big lofty terms. I don't want to give you pieces of information. I want to give you something that's tactical and practical you can take home today and use today and make you a better speaker today. And so Jim Hale is my mentor for that, because I just want you to, more than anything, I want you to get it. And I want you to have something you can take home today and begin to use. So that encompasses my why. And if you if you watch through the programs, if you're reading on this and it's not relevant, you don't get anything out of it, fine. You're going to know really quickly whether or not this is going to help you be a better speaker. Give it a shot, and if it doesn't work for you, no hard feelings. It didn't cost you anything anyway. So, thanks for listening, and that's my why.